Hello, Lum Peeps. Here we are on the YouTube channel. So, to all the YouTube administrators out there, I'll try to keep it clean. And I'll try to trigger you today. But the truth, for some reason, triggers all of you out there. Saw some very interesting things. Michael Knowles did a interview with QAnon shaman Jacob. We've seen testimony coming out that exposes Biden and his criminal family, the Biden family, but it goes beyond that. It's Obama, it's the Clintons, it's the Bushes. We all know this, but we've known this for 30 years, 20 to 30 years, how dirty this is. And it goes clear back past Bush Sr. But, the thing is, I don't want to talk about that necessarily, but it's you, all of you out there. Doesn't matter what side of the fence you're on. Are you awake yet? Do you see this for what it is? Or are you still in denial? Or are you still clapping your hands for Trump, which a lot of us, including myself, have a lot of questions about? Is there really any candidate worth running for president anymore? Not really. Do you see an average Joe like moi or you running? No. You don't have money, or you're not in the cabal. More importantly, you're not in the cabal. You're not one of them. Them being rich, them being born on the inside with the old term, silver spoon in your mouth. You're never going to see DC or Capitol Hill. You're never going to see it. You're never, ever. Even at the state level of politics, most of us would never, ever get there. And that's usually how people get to DC that are poor. Is you run for a local position, then you go to the state house. And then if you're really ambitious and you have the financial backing and you're loyal to your party, then you may have a shot at getting to DC. And then you're going to get filthy rich as long as you play by their rules. Their rules. They control everything. And we're talking about centralized banks. The IMF, International Monetary Fund, headed by what? Nothing but Rothschilds, Rockefellers, and Morgans sit on these boards of these banks. They are at the heads of all these banks. The World Bank, the WB, these banks, those two banks in particular question are, again, both of them run by Rothschilds and Rockefellers and whatnot, Morgans. Most of the banks are owned by these multi-billionaires, but these two banks in particular, and this is why things are going to poo all across the world, is they delve out loans to different countries, these third world countries. Well, a lot of the money that these banks now have that's why they're kowtowing to China. China has put a lot of money into this. So are big players in this. There's multiple players, but they're all filthy rich. Some of them are nation states. Some of them are private individuals. Like Soros, Rockefellers, you name it. The Rothschilds being at the top of the pile. So do you feel any better about your socialism, your Nazism, communism, whatever you're into, instead of just choosing freedom? When are you going to learn? And the facts are coming out that this winter for you people in Europe, going to be a cold, bleak looking thing. You're going backwards to the feudal ages. And you're not doing anything about it. We see this in Europe. They're not doing anything. There is a wave of backlash here in the United States, and it is obvious that a lot of people are waking up. I don't know if there's going to be enough to stem the tide, but that's it. They're going to kill off a lot of people in Europe. They're trying to kill off a lot of people in Europe. We know the war in Ukraine with Russia is a scam. It's a laundering scam. We also know, as far as Ukraine and Russia are concerned, there was a rock solid, ironclad treaty that Putin and everybody was willing to go for, Ukraine and everybody in Russia, before the elections. That got scrapped because the warmongering powers that be wanted to do this. So we'll see what happens. I have to side with Russia on this one, because nobody wants to say it out loud, but I will. I mean, it gets hushed up all the time. So we'll see if I get censored here. There was a genocide in the Donbass area. That's ethnically Russian. That was why the treaty was there. It would have been really easy just to have that happen, and it wouldn't have infringed on Ukraine's sovereignty. And that was the way it went. But, because thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people were killed, the last estimate, I do not have the figures on me right now when I did this broadcast, but that's a fact, Jack. We know that it happened. Is most people just don't want to open their eyes to see it. And that's why Putin is so pissed off. You're not going to get any freer. If you go for this and you're all 100% gung-ho with all this, and I mean new social constructs, you're going to own nothing. You're going to eat bugs, and you're going to be happy about it. If that's what you want, more power to you. Then please take yourself out of the society that we live in, the reality, the truth, out in the sunshine. If you can't stand to be out in the light and admit your faults and admit you're not perfect, and then try to make yourself better and work for a living and work, or start your own company and become a billionaire, whatever. If you can't handle that, then you need to go elsewhere. I mean, we've all said that time and time again, and people, use it as some kind of mantra to frame up white supremacists and all this other made up bullshit. No, it's because you're too meek and mild, and you do not have the stamina or the fortitude to go out and do it yourself. You want to sit back and get rich on other people. I bust my ass at retail right now, and I'm almost 60 years old. Things are just getting more and more worse. I got a master's degree in public administration, bachelor's in political science, bachelor's in international affairs. I got an applied science degree in paralegal. Can't get a job right now. Let's talk about that real quick, because of everything I just told you is leading to what's happening to you right now. You can't get a job. You're looking for a job right now, and you see all these on LinkedIn and Indeed and your local state job board sites. You're not getting any bites, and you're as papered as I am. You want to know what's happening? It's reverse discrimination. It's ESG. It's DEI. If you say anything contradictory to what they say, or you're in the system and have questionable ties, you're not getting a job. The first thing they do is go to your blog sites and see who you are. So if you've had any dissenting opinions, the FBI knows who you are. The CIA knows who you are. It's reported. You will not getting a job. These jobs also are fake and phony posted jobs in essence. This is a public service announcement for you that are wondering why you can't get a job. It's reverse discrimination. It's all the things I said. They are getting money. They are getting money to hold these jobs open from the federal government. It stems from the COVID package relief. It's still happening. So they can post these jobs, and if they make it look like nobody's coming for these jobs, they get money for that from the federal government to cover their ass in losses. So the company evidently is just going to sit there and make money from your tax money and say, well, we can't get anybody to work for us. That's a lie. There's tons of people that want to work. It's just they don't want to hire them because of any of the aforementioned things. And why hire somebody when Uncle Sam, Uncle Joe, and the other, and Uncle Obama and Uncle Clinton are willing to shove out that money? Uncle Soros, Uncle Rothschilds, as long as they're willing to pay for that, they don't have to hire you. You're not going to get a job. Either that, or they're outright using DEI and ESG credit scoring systems to keep you from getting a job. And that means a whole lot of things that I just mentioned, which are hot topic and usually trigger somebody somewhere, and they get it taken off the internet, whatever, or banned off of, well, now Elon's on Twitter, but Facebook, whatever. I see Twitter still censoring, but not as badly. And some of us have been brought on to Elon's new platform because of Elon himself, which I want to thank him for. Not that it was his personal doing, but, it was nice to see some kind of, hey, we understand what happened. Zuckerberg needs to do the same thing and come to it. But Zuckerberg is married, supposedly, We don't know. His wife is a CCP member, Communist Chinese, or she's related to people that are in the CCP in China. She is Chinese. When they come, if he ever comes around and says, I fucked up, I effed up, we censored a lot of people. They sold off your information. They sold off mine. Supposedly they're going to settle out and give us all money this month. I doubt it. And it'll probably be a menial amount. Let me tell you something, Zuckerberg. You sold off my information and other people's information. That's worth more than $2,000 to $5,000. That's worth more like $2 million a piece. And all the billions of dollars that you personally have in your own net worth, not your company's, you could pay everybody $1 million. That might be some sort of restitution for what you did and your people did. And you continually, still to this day, you'll deny it in front of Congress because you're the robot you are, but you continue to do it. You just outright blatantly lie, sir. So, and the millions of minions that follow you do the same, and they are your foot soldiers. We have, I'd say, 2 generations now, because this next generation is just not having it. And it's pretty freaking obvious because the entertainment industry is falling apart. People are turning their backs. This younger generation is saying no. This youngest generation to come out in their 20s is saying no more. So we'll see what happens. But, until we get control of these media platforms and they'd be regulated by the FCC, we're not going to have any peace. We take these multi-billionaires and say, well, you can't do this anymore. If you're going to get politically active, okay, then you're limited to how much money you can throw. These super PACs and stuff have to go away. That when they were first started to be used and solidified about 20, 30 years ago, everybody was bitching about it because it gave those that have money and power an unfair advantage over the general population. Well, here we are. This is what happens when you do that and you let it happen. And they went ahead and did it anyway, because guess what? The people that sit on those central banks are the ones that are pushing this whole narrative and have been for over 200 years. This has been going on for a long time. This is a construct that they put in place a long time ago. Whether you want to believe in the Illuminati or any of that stuff, it sure seems like that's what happened, isn't it? Look at it for what it is, and then look at what's been said and all this other stuff that you call conspiracy, and look at it. And the parallels are uncanny. In fact, they match almost perfectly. If you were at a crime scene, you'd be like, this is evidence that this is real. This happened, and who did it? Isn't that how you do it? And in most cases, when you have a case that, been covered up rather well, you follow the money. If there's any money involved, well, we have a ton of money, trillions of dollars of money. Okay. It is estimated that the Rothschild house is worth over $200 trillion. $200 trillion that family personally has in their pocket. They can buy Jesus Christ. They can make aliens appear. You know what I'm saying? That kind of money. And Lord Rothschild's, he calls himself a lord, he's not, is extremely smug. Any of his family, you talk to his brothers or anybody, and if you can get them on camera, they've been like the Windsors. They keep out of the media as much as possible. This latest round with, Queen Elizabeth's son, now King Charles, and his sons and their wives, is a media circus because they need the attention. They need the money. The British crown is worth billions and billions, if not trillions of dollars. They keep it hidden very well. And guess who runs their financial institutions for them? And who holds their money and their gold for them? It's the Rothschilds. The cabal is at the top. All this stuff coming out of Davos is the top. We're going to see Europe is going to freeze to death this winter. They're actually burning wood and going out and scrounging for wood. They're already starting to do it. This is going to be an insane time to watch. Here in America, what's going to happen? Because usually this is a tipping point. When you start taking away our ability to survive, you're going to do like the British did. It's time for things to start happening. And they usually do. I mean, historically, not just here in America, but all over the world. So, well, Europe's already rioting and on fire. The deal is, my question is, when are you all going to learn that it's not the buildings that made you poor, it's the people that did? When are you going to go make the people that are doing this to you, Klaus Schwab, the Rothschilds, the Morgans, everybody, when are you going to make them pay? When are they going to answer to humanity for their shenanigans? Because this is not just America. It's not just Europe. It's everywhere. It's all across the globe. And it is a shame that you all, most of you all, are complicit in this. I just saw something on Timcast, and the point was made that people are, more susceptible to say, I'm not going to sacrifice my family. I'm not going to sacrifice my job. I'm not going to do this. I'm going to keep low. I'm going to make money, and I'll take what I can get and enjoy what I can. That's not the way the people that fought for this country felt about it. They gave up their lives. They they paid with blood. They gave up their families. They paid with their lives. They gave up their property and everything so that we could have what we have today. And now we're throwing it, or have thrown it away. What do you say? What do you say to that? Are you going to, when the time comes and the call comes, and it is, we're all calling right now, hey, wake up and get ready. Wake up and get ready. You'll know the time when it happens. We'll all know. Trust me. This thing here, the first thing they're going to do is shut off all internet and communications. Then they're going to shut off your power, and they're going to shut off your ability for money. Those are the top 3 things that they're going to do, 4 things they're going to do to silence all of us and make us capitulate. Most of you will capitulate because you just don't know how to survive without your everyday deal. The funny thing is, I have a cell phone. I do not sleep with it in my bedroom. I do not carry it at work. It sits on a shelf in the back room where I work. I go and check it once in a while. It infuriates my family to no end. I'm not married, but I'm talking about my sisters and whatnot, other people. I check my messages maybe 2 to 3 times during an 8-hour shift. I do not carry it because 5G causes cancer. It is a mind-numbing thing. If you stare at a phone for too long and then you shut it off, it's like you get a head, what's called, a lot of Asians call it head boom, which is referring to a headache. But you get this like you're coming down off a fucking super good high hit off of a bong. Try it. Try going without it. It's like an addiction. Especially you people that have that thing in front of your face. You can't even drive down the street without it being right here, which is dangerous, by the way, and in a lot of places against the law. So those of you that are young and listening to this, maybe you should start thinking. I know that's hard for you millennials and you other gonad gonk heads out there, but you should really, there's a lot of gonks, knuckle dragging monkeys out there. I see you every day. And I live in a small town with a university, half-ass university put in it, CMU. So guess where I'm living. But it's just mind-numbing to watch you all bow down and pray to the silicone god every day. But that's what they're going to do. Then what are you going to do when the emergency broadcasting thing comes on your phone that you get emergency alerts on, because we all get those now, or you're on your computer and it goes, hey, it's been off for about an hour, 2 hours, and everybody's flipping out. People are out in the streets going, what's happening? And people actually start talking to each other. Your neighbors that you never talk to, you're actually going to have to talk to them and say, did you hear anything? And you're all going to have to get along and get together. That's when America will shine through, because we're all going to say, well, we live by the rule of law. We're not going to let these schmucks, these idiots get away with this. But my point is, and I'd say it very, very gently, because I know people are watching this broadcast. When are you going to all wake up and we're going to hold the people accountable for this. And I mean, remember, there are minions. They have minions that are blind, will do whatever they want because they're blindly obedient. And as long as they're getting paid, even if they're not getting paid, they're blindly obedient to these people. There's no way to get around these people. And you know what I'm talking about. There's no other way to deal with these people. None. And they will die for these rich elites that could give a shit less about them. They're just tools. They're pawns. Just like the rest of us. They do not care. They want 11 billion people on the planet Earth. They want to bring it down to 800 million. And they are set on doing this. And their minions in corporations and rich billionaires are complicit in this. They have all signed on to this. This is why you see EVs being pushed. You're seeing changes in diet being pushed. You're seeing food processing plants being attacked and blown up here in the United States. You see these regulations getting thrown on us about gas stoves and all this other hooey. That's why they're trying to bring down more of the population. The COVID didn't do it. The jab is doing a good job, but this will really bring about the deal. We have labs, confirmed Chinese labs, operating illegally in the United States, run by CCP. We have law enforcement, Chinese law enforcement running around, run by the CCP. It's the same thing we had 10 years ago with these Islamic patrols running around in the big cities like New York and stuff. They cannot exist here. They do not exist here, but they're being allowed to by our government. When is law enforcement in this country going to have the gonads to do their effing jobs and say, okay, we are here to serve and protect. We took an oath, just like a doctor does. Law enforcement is supposed to stand up for us. They work for us. They get paid by us. When are these local towns like the one I live in going to say, well, this one's kind of liberal because of the university, going to turn around and say, okay, we're not going to give you any more money until you do what we say. You're not getting paid. Go home, throw a fit. And when you start starving, maybe you'll come in and do your damn job. You start doing your job, we'll pay you. When is that going to happen? Or when are the good cops going to stand up and say, we've had enough? Very few do that. I'm not pro-cop by any means. I've had my run-ins with the law. Trust me. I've been I've been through the mill. I've been to the county hotels. I can tell you horror stories. I've seen the bad side. I've seen what some of these people go through. And I believe in prison reform. I believe that a lot of people shouldn't go to jail for stupid shit. I mean, because we have laws on the books that are there for nothing more than a social construct to get you to behave a certain way. We didn't have those before when I was younger. We don't need them now. They just make money for somebody else. Most laws, to go off on a sidetrack, are what? Made to get you to conform, and they make money for somebody else. They make money for the state. They make money for the cops. And they use that money to what? Oppress you. That's right, folks. So, with everything that's going on, I have to ask you, what are you going to do when the lights go out? Is the old term. What are you going to do? And what I mean by that, that covers everything. When the lights go out, they say you can't go to the store. You can't do anything. This doesn't work. Your phones go offline. All they got's an emergency logo on it telling you what to do. Do you go do what they tell you to do? Or you sit back and try to go talk to your neighbors and your local community and go to even if you don't go to church, maybe you should. If you've had some kind of Christian upbringing, maybe you should consider going to a local church, grinning and bearing it, and maybe shaking a few hands and saying, hey, it's not so bad. What can I do to help? What can I do to put in, to help? And you'll get fed. You'll get water. You'll get enough to survive if you haven't planned out. Some of us, it's hard for us to plan out because we're living in an apartment. We're working at retail. We have no other income. We've been put down hard, and I have been because I've been at this for 20 years now, wagging my finger, more like 30, 40 years, wagging my finger saying no. Ever since the advent of forced insurance, compulsory insurance, I have been throwing a fit because we didn't need it before. We don't need it now. What's the big deal? The big deal is somebody's not making money. And they saw the opportunity and they got a bunch of rich assholes to go along with it, and politicians. And they grease politicians, and here we are. It's that way with everything. DUI, domestic violence, all gets you to think and act a certain way, and it makes them rich and have power over you. That's the fact, Jack. They don't like talking about that, but it's true. And then those people that like myself and others that say, well, look at this for what it is. Oh, you're a conspiracy theorist, or you're just a troublemaker. Look at your past. You got a questionable past. Doesn't matter whether you're papered or not. But don't listen to this crazy son of a bitch. But it's true. And it's sad. I'm coming up on 60 next year. And, I'm looking at this going, my God, you guys, why do you all want to destroy what you so love? That's the paradigm. You want all this stuff, but yet you want to destroy it. You want to destroy everybody that, comes up with this stuff, that makes this stuff. You want to destroy it. You don't want nothing, but you want it all. That's a hell of a paradigm to go through, to even look at. I mean, it doesn't even make any sense. I don't know if you can frame it up as a paradigm. And it just is such a paradox. Let's use that word. Paradox, different word. How do you even quantify this? And we see, all these hearings and stuff they're having right now because the Republicans have the House. It doesn't mean dick unless you arrest them and throw them in jail, Jim Jordan, Matt Gaetz, Ted Cruz, all of you, Lauren Barbette, MTG. If you don't have the backing to get them thrown into jail, and your cohorts that sit in on those committees have them investigated, if you can't do that, then this is just a show. It's no different than when the Democrats roast the Republican stuff. It's just a show. If you're not going to do anything about this and just put on a show for the American people, or what's left of us, we don't buy it. I'm not buying it until you do something. I want to see these people in handcuffs. I want to see them in a jail cell. I want their wives, their kids, and everything else living out of a box on a corner. Maybe some of the other rich elites will say, well, wait a minute, we didn't sign on for this. I'm not going to lose everything I work for. But right now they feel safe and secure. That's why they all signed that contract, that piece of paper. There's multiple corporations and companies and billionaires and banks that were on that list. Okay, I worked with the Q before they got dissolved. I even had my lovely little friends from the FBI here, not here, but at my other place, twice. Okay, because they didn't like what I had to say. And I triggered somebody, because by what the last agent said, somebody got triggered. And I was like, well, that's too bad. That's when I was doing my master's, and I was like, well, and I was over here on campus, living on campus. And I was like, well, since I'm living on campus, you can go through the apartment. I can't stop you. And I'm legal. So that's the kind of crap that happens. They know who you are. Let me tell you something, how bad this is. If you file for Social Security disability and you have a hearing, they have your complete medical history. Not only that, they have your complete history. Mine was a 2-disc set. You could, and on a CD-ROMs. Yeah, this was quite a few years ago. I put that thing in my old Toshiba now. Put that in the reader, and I was amazed. Every little thing you do is on there. Medical, everything. Everything is on there. It was amazing. And they will not. I don't care if you hit 65. You're going to have to hire a lawyer to get it. I was talking to my sister last night regarding some family affairs, and I was amazed that she actually spoke it. I didn't think she would, because I thought she's kind of in between, but I thought she was more liberal leaning that. She says, by the time we all get to 65, it's gone. She's never said that before. That's the truth. By the time last of us boomers get there, it's all going to be gone. What do we got? We're not getting anything. I got my last Social Security statement from them a couple of years ago, because I've moved several times due to being in the academic field. And it was roughly, almost $2,000. That's not enough to make it. And we're dealing with my mother right now. I don't want to say too much, but the cost of taking care of the elderly is where I'm going with this, is staggering. And when you're at my age and you're looking down that barrel of that gun, you're like, oh my God, what am I going to do? They got you by the nads, especially if you don't have family. I don't have any family. I don't have any kids. Wife's already dead. What do? So you just, got a rabbit hole a shit ton of money and invest it and hope to God the banking system doesn't collapse. But that's what it looks like. They're going to collapse the economy, which they are. And they're going to go to a one central bank so they can alleviate your holdings, your money. You will have no property. You will have nothing. Just like Mr. Klaus Schwab said. So you have to start thinking about this. If you're not awake, you should be. If you have a lot of money in 401ks, which Joe is pretty much already taken from you, you better go check it. You better go check your stuff and start making up your mind. What do you want? Are you going to let this happen? Are you going to be complicit? Are you going to finally, I think what everybody's waiting for, like myself, is we're waiting for, I guess the younger crowd or somebody. It's almost like the LA riots. Remember those? Those of us are old enough for that one too. Yeah, all it took was some people on the corner and it started. Who's going to throw the first stone? Just like in biblical times too. Who's going to do it? Who's going to set it off? Where is this going to go down? Because once it starts, it can't stop. We can't stop until it's over. And is it ever over? No, it just amazes me why people cannot just go snatch these rich assholes out of their houses. Okay, I don't believe in mob mentality either, but snatch them up and make them pay. And put the fear of God in the rest of these rich assholes. There's nothing wrong with being rich if you went out and earned it. What's wrong is what you do with the money. If you get into politics and you're into wiping out billions of people because of an ideologue and you're a bunch of self-centered rich asswipes, then you deserve everything you're going to get from the masses. Everything. There's nowhere they can run. There's nowhere they can hide that we don't know where they're at. It's their minions that stand between us and them. And they are very dedicated and they have a lot of hardware. And who knows? Maybe they even have access to tactical nukes. Who knows? I wouldn't be surprised if, as smug as Lord Rothschild is, that he actually has his finger on everybody's nuke button. He can set any one of them off anytime, because guess what? They're going to do what this butthole says anytime, at any time. Russia, here, anywhere, and say, well, I need you to launch a nuke. They'll do it. They'll do it because of the money. But money's fleeting. The only person that really has any money, which is gold and silver, is them. That's why they made it illegal here in the United States and elsewhere. You can't have gold. You're not supposed to personally have gold in your possession or silver. That's right, because that puts you on par to have bargaining power for goods and services. That's why paper money is going to be obsolete. It pretty much is now. Those of us that are hoarding that are going to pay a price. Sooner or later, they're going to have to say, if we want you to turn in that money, well, you're going to have to give me, X amount of money per dollar before I'll turn that in, or I can turn it in for gold. It's the only way I'm doing it. Only way I'm doing it. Myself, personally, I'll buy silver. If I have to, there's no gold, I'll buy silver. That's getting scarce too. So we'll see what's happening, what's going on in the future. I wish you all the best of luck. And if you do see this video, please pass it on. And I mean, at least the ideas to pass it on. I don't want to be famous or anything. I just want you all, you brothers and sisters out there, all of you. It doesn't matter who you are, what color you are, where you're from. We're all suffering in this together. When are you going to get that through your head? You're all going to pay the price for letting this bullshit go on. Being nice and being copacetic and empathetic is not going to keep you free and keep the lights on and food in your fridge. Okay? It's not going to do it. And the heat on or air conditioner on. It's not going to do it. Being nice to somebody just because, it should be that way. It's just part of being a human. I heard that yesterday about this person talking about somebody at my work. And I said, why? She is a bootlicker. She will do anything she is told. These overachiever minions, as I call them again, will do anything. When this particular person evidently hurt her foot or something. I'm not empathetic with that person at all. At all. Why should any of you be? Why should the person I was talking be? I tried to impress that upon that person. I said, screw her. She's getting what she deserves. She's two-faced, overachiever. She will stab you in the back. She'll do anything to protect upper management. She will do anything to get her piece of the pie or her golden key to the Golden Girls bathroom. She's a female. I don't care whether she's suffering or not. We all suffer. Why should we give her any quarter at all? Why should we give any of these people any quarter? Who cares about them? That's why I say, why are all of you out there afraid of these people? You're not afraid of them. You're afraid of their minions. They're minions that are pulling the strings for them. When they wake up, if they ever wake up to the fact that they're being used, they're pawns too, and their heads are on the table too, because these rich elites do not care about anybody but themselves and their immediate families. They don't care. They don't care. They'll send millions to their deaths fighting us. They have an inexhaustible supply of money. So they can rent out the next dude, millennial next to you, that's willing to stand up with their purple colored freaking hair, and he'll march out in the street and get mowed down just because he was told to. These minions do not care. They will do what they're told. And they will do it with zest and zeal. But all's not lost. Remember, don't be afraid to talk to your neighbor. Don't be afraid to get to know people around you. And if you're a bit eccentric like myself and loud and proud, let people know. It wakes people up. It wakes people up. Do it kindly. Do it professionally. But nudge them into the light. That's what we need to do. Those that are, you need to nudge them into the light. Not with kid gloves, but they need to see it. So y'all take care. Open your eyes. Pass along the message. Word to mouth is the best way, folks. Not these videos, not Dan Bongino, not MSNBC, CNN, not Fox News, none of that. Word of mouth. Tucker Carlson seems to be doing good. There's some liberal pundits that seem to be doing good, and they're waking up too, going, wait a minute, this is wrong. Yeah, it's totally wrong. So keep it going out there, folks. Peace out from the llama. Y'all take care. Nee, 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 nee.